Hello, everyone, and welcome to Working Remotely. My name is Mickey Stanley. I work in public relations at Zoho, and I am very happy to be talking with Barry Moltz, who is a small business expert and who is going to give us some tips on working remotely. Hey, Barry.
Hey, Mickey.
How you doing?
Well, I'm still here. You know that meme on Facebook? Our grandfathers were called to war. We're called to sit on the couch,
Yeah.
right? So I'm just trying to do my part, Mickey.
Well, you look very comfortable. Where are you calling from?
I'm actually, my wife and I both agreed that we shelter in place in different areas. She's in one bedroom, I'm in the other. And so we 9 and 5, we shelter separately, keep our sanity.
So you are a work from home expert.
I am. I listen. This is the second bedroom in my home, and in back of there, that's actually a Murphy bunk beds that's come out. So if we ever have any guests again, that's where they sleep.
That's great. Well, so let's start at the beginning. How long have you been working from home?
Well, I mean, I'm on the road every single week because I speak at all these events. I work with clients. So part of my marriage contract is actually be gone 2 or 3 nights a week, right? It actually makes things go really well. So I've been traveling for, forever. But I think the good news is over the last 10 years, you really can, if you want, work from anywhere, right? Because almost everything is in the cloud. And that's the beauty, Mickey, of having it in the cloud. You can work from anywhere, as I said, if you want. It's not always good for you to do that, but you can. So almost any device, I can access anything in my company, any communication, any document. So it's great. And now that I've started using Zoho One, it's all integrated together. So it's been fantastic.
That's great. And so since you started working at home, you've noticed that the tools have gotten more sophisticated and it's easier to do the work that you do.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, I keep thinking about the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, where they had none of these technologies tools. Basically, the entire economy shut down. At least we're able to keep a portion of it going, and we're able to keep our community going. And I think that people are actually reaching out more. There was an article in the New York Times today saying how the telephone call is actually coming back into style. People really crave connection. I mean, I've been doing karate for 20 years. We're actually doing karate classes remotely. There's a lot of things we can do to keep our community together, and there's a lot of things that really can keep your company together.
Well, so you said you were on the road all the time, going to conferences and things like that. Now that that part of your job has changed, and you're working from home, but traveling less. How has that affected?
Traveling none.
Traveling none. Yes. That was a test.
Yeah, none at this point.
So how has that changed your workflow from home? Are you able to still sort of fulfill certain commitments via video chat or audio?
Well, I think unfortunately some of the work has gone away, right? Because the events I'm not speaking at, some of them I've been able to convert to webinars, and I think that's what every small business owner has to really say to themselves: close your eyes, imagine a world where your customers rarely leave their home, and open your eyes. What does your business look like? So what I'm trying to do is do more online webinars. I'm trying to talk to clients remotely, schedule time. If we're going to have an in-person meeting, let's schedule 3 or 4 hours. And I think video is the only way to do it, because if you're just on the phone, people aren't going to be able to keep their focus. And I think even though a lot of folks from my generation, which is the boomer generation, we fought against video phone calls for a long time. Now we got to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if you were to give some advice to people that are now starting to work from home for the first time, maybe, what type of practical advice would you give them, and how do you structure your day?
Well, I think that you have to select the tools that you're going to use, right? So if you're working for a company, you have an agreed to set of tools. Decide what you're going to use for chat so everyone can theoretically stay in the same office. Decide what you're going to use for video conference calls. Decide and when you're going to talk. And then what I would also do is, once you have the tools, you have to really structure your day, because it's very, very easy to get interruptions, especially with all the electronic devices, bings. And it's not there isn't enough time in the day, Mickey. It's that we don't spend enough time focusing our attention on what's really important. The human attention span is 8 seconds now, and a goldfish attention span is 9 seconds. So there's not a lot to compare that to. What I always try to do is the night before decide the 2 things that I want to get done the next day. And I try to do those 2 things. I'll check email for 15 minutes, maybe social media, whatever it is. But then I'll shut everything off for an hour and work on those 2 things, because I know if those 2 things get done, the day will be productive. There's even, I believe, even more of a reason right now that you have to structure your day. And that's really of critical importance. When are you going to do what?
Yeah. And so that's the employee side. But if you were to give advice to a small business, say, that is moving to a remote workforce,
Right.
What would you say to them to sort of best practices for virtual collaboration?
Yeah, so the advice I've been giving to small business owners, first you have to understand that your employees are under an incredible amount of stress. You're under a lot of stress because of the state of your business, but they're worried about their families, their health, their livelihood. Are they really going to have a job? So you've got to reassure them, communicate with them on a daily basis. And then I really believe make sure they have the tools, but then set up some kind of service level agreement with them. Lay it out on one piece of paper saying, hey, we expect you to be work from this day to this time. This is when you said you're going to take your lunch hour. Here are the key goals you need to accomplish every day, every week, whatever makes sense. And then have a way to check in to see how they're doing. We can't just leave people at home to their own devices. We've got to communicate even more these days than we did before. So that's really important. If you don't figure that out early on, it's just going to be a wasted time.
Yeah. And let's talk about the tools specifically. I think a lot of people think remote work is basically just, chat or video conferencing. But is there more to it? And what are the range of tools that can best serve a company and an employee?
Well, you have to think about, for a small business owner, what are all the ways that in your company you collaborate, right? Are you collaborating by talking? Are you collaborating by working on a shared document? Are you collaborating by going to the whiteboard? Are you collaborating over data that's in your system? That's where really you start, is how do you collaborate and look for tools that replicate as much as you can those kinds of collaborations. So It could be video, it could be chat, it could be shared documents, it could be a lot of different things.
Yeah. And so let's say for a small business that's starting out, would you advise to introduce your employees to maybe a few tools at the beginning to get them comfortable? Because again, there are going to be people that for them this is a whole new, world.
Yeah. Again, I think you have to think about how are you all going to work and collaborate together and communicate with the customer, and choose those tools that are essential. Because if you give them too many tools, then people aren't quite sure where they're supposed to be. But if you say, okay, we're going to collaborate for audio or visual communication, we're going to use this tool. For chat, we're going to use this tool. And for collaboration over documents, we're going to use this tool. Then they only have to be in text 3 places, not 5 different places.
Yeah, and from the sort of emotional perspective of an employee, say right now, who is perhaps rightfully so concerned about the state of the world, is there a way to sort of bridge that gap so that some of the social elements of a workplace, how you can stay connected and sort of build morale within a community while working from home?
Absolutely, because I think that at least once a week, you should at least have a company check-in and talk about whatever they want to talk about. And if you're having a phone call or whatever, or a video call, don't be afraid if someone else enters the room or you get interrupted or the dog goes up on your lap, right? That's an opportunity to connect with your employee in a way that you've never, ever had with that person. And again, start out each conversation with them just checking in. So, Joe, how are you doing? How is your family? Is everyone doing okay? How are you dealing with these times? Check in first and then do the business. I have to tell you that showing, especially during these times, that you care about the people you work with is really critical and will build a lot of loyalty. And I know that Zoho is so good at that.
So is that a part of your day now, every day, where even if you don't have direct business with someone that afternoon, you'll still reach out and sort of try and, keep them in touch?
Yeah, what I'm trying to do is really, with all my clients, reach out to them every day in some way. Just say I'm here. But I'm also trying to reach out to 5 people who are just in my social circle or my business social circle just to see how they are. And I find that, Mickey, a lot of people are doing that. I actually think that once we get through this, I think that it'll actually bring our community closer together because we've reached out to more people. So I'm hopeful about that.
Yeah, and so since you have so much experience at this, what are some ways for someone who may be a little scatterbrained to actually stay focused during the course of a weekday, work from home weekday?
So I think you have to have ruthless prioritization. So look at all your tasks that are basically on your to-do list. Tag everything important and or urgent, right? So the important and urgent stuff you have to do right away. If it's important but not urgent, you can, schedule it. If it's urgent but not important, you can have delegate, have someone else do it. And if it's not urgent, not important, forget about it, right? Just don't do it. Cut it out. So you have to do this ruthless prioritization every single day after you choose the 2 things you want to do, just so you know, or you really can understand what you should be working on that's going to move the business forward. And that may have changed from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, we have time for one last question, and it is, if you had to give one word to your own personal remote work environment. I know you're in Chicago, weather's bad. How would you sum up your physical location, your space?
My physical location, my space?
Yeah.
How would I sum it up? I would say that it is warm.
Okay.
I'm very, very lucky that I live on the 30-something floor of a high-rise. I have a beautiful view of Chicago, a beautiful view of the lake, and if I've got to be stuck here, that's okay compared to the rest of the world. So I've got the tools. As long as I got internet service and food, we are all set.
That's a great answer. You want to have some warmth, some heart in it, and that's how to encourage.
I wake up every single morning and I have all sorts of dreams, and then I wake up and I realize that coronavirus is still with us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think there's enough bad doom and gloom around. You've got to bring some gratitude, right? Some thankfulness into your life every single day. And part of that is I really hope that people are pursuing some kind of physical activity, because you can do that from home right now. I'm doing a half-hour video karate every day. My wife, for the first time, is teaching me yoga. I never would do that. So there's a lot of things we can do to keep ourselves in shape. If you're in a warm climate, perhaps in California, you can actually go out and enjoy the weather. So take care of yourself physically and emotionally while you're adjusting to this new way of working. It's very important for your emotional health.
Sure. I've actually noticed here in the house, some of my housemates are doing live exercise sessions. Are your karate sessions live? Is the instructor?
They are live. They're live. So they've set up, we closed down the school about 2 weeks ago. I've been doing karate for 20 years. So 3 times a day, there are 30-minute classes. And I really like what the school did was they didn't try to recreate the entire program. They said, listen, we usually do 10 classes during the day. Let's do 3 half-hour classes a day. And I think for small businesses, we have to keep reimagining what's going to be most important to our customers, our employees, our vendors, and really, especially in these next 2 or 3 months, focus on those things.
Yeah, that makes sense. You need to adapt. Well, Barry, thank you so much for speaking with me and for sharing your great tips for the remote worker.
Thanks for sharing the warm weather out there in California with me.
I will. I'm going to take some online karate classes.
And listen, it's actually open to anybody, which I think is really smart, right? They might even get, what I think is really good about this, Mickey, is small business owners are recreating their business. So, for example, one of my clients runs physical therapy. They never did any telemedicine because it wasn't reimbursed by Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're doing a lot of telemedicine. And when we get through this whole thing, they'll have a whole new business. So you got to look on that side. They're forced to explore areas they never would have time or money to do. And I think businesses over the next 18 to 24 months when it's over will actually expand. So just got to keep working at it.
That's great. That's optimism.
Awesomeism. I love that.
Well, thank you again, Barry.
All right, I think of your name every because we're watching Ray Donovan, all 7 seasons of it. And one of the big things is Mickey Donovan, so I always think of you, Mick.
Well, I appreciate that, even though he's not the best character, if I remember correctly.
Listen, he's very endearing, but the advice is get on a long Netflix series where there's at least 5 seasons so you can keep going.
That's also great advice. All right, thanks again.
Thanks, Mickey. Take care of yourself. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.